Dr. Adrian Cole had seen a lot in his life. He had studied languages, human cultures, and even alien communication protocols in the past few years, but nothing could have prepared him for this moment, standing face to face with the alien Queen Lysera. The Thalirian palace shimmered like crystal under the twin suns of their planet. Towering spires curved into the sky, reflecting golden light that danced across the polished floors. Adrian's human delegation followed closely behind him, each member carrying the weight of humanity's hopes and nerves. Despite all their training, everyone felt a quiet tension in the air. Queen Lysera appeared at the top of a grand staircase, her presence commanding yet graceful. Her skin shimmered faintly in soft hues of silver and blue. Her eyes were large, deep, and glowing with a gentle light that seemed to see straight into Adrian's heart. Every movement she made was like a slow, perfect dance, deliberate yet effortless. Adrian swallowed. He had prepared for speeches, negotiations, cultural exchanges, and even emergency diplomacy. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. The Queen's beauty was not only in her appearance, but in the quiet confidence and wisdom that radiated from her. When she finally spoke, her voice was like music, clear, soft, and yet powerful. "Welcome, humans," she said, her tone neither cold nor warm, but perfectly balanced. "We have observed your species for many cycles. We are curious to know you better." Adrian stepped forward, trying to remember his rehearsed lines. He wanted to introduce humanity, explain Earth's culture, and present gifts of knowledge. But as he looked into Lysera's eyes, the words seemed to vanish. All he could do was mumble, You are very beautiful." The words hung in the air awkwardly. The human delegation froze. Some whispered to themselves, wondering if Adrian had lost his mind. But Queen Lysera's reaction surprised everyone. She blushed. A soft pink glow spread across her cheeks, visible even through her shimmering skin. Humans had always used compliments cautiously, sometimes to flatter or manipulate. But Adrian's words were genuine. There was no hidden meaning, no strategy, just pure admiration. Lysera tilted her head slightly, curiosity and amusement in her gaze. "You cannot speak properly because of my beauty?" she asked softly, almost teasingly. Adrian's face reddened. I didn't mean to stare. It's just your presence. It's unlike anything I have ever seen." A ripple of quiet laughter echoed from the human delegation, but Lysera's eyes stayed focused on him. The palace, which had seemed intimidating and cold, suddenly felt alive with warmth. The Queen gestured for them to descend the staircase. "Come," she said, "let us speak as equals. We wish to understand your species." As Adrian and the others walked down, he could feel the eyes of his delegation on him, some in admiration, some in exasperation, but he didn't care. For the first time in his life, he felt that being human, with all its flaws, awkwardness, and genuine emotions, could matter in ways he had never imagined. Once they reached the palace floor, the delegation was seated in a semicircle of polished crystal chairs. Lysera sat on a slightly elevated platform, her posture perfect, yet her gaze inviting. She observed the humans carefully, her expression softening with each passing moment. Adrian noticed small details, the way her hands moved with delicate precision, the subtle tilt of her head when she was curious, and the way she listened, really listened, as if every word mattered. Humans often rushed conversations, interrupted, or spoke to impress. Lysera seemed genuinely interested in understanding. "Our records show that humans are brave," Lysera said, her voice calm. "You have survived great challenges on your home planet. Yet we also see contradictions in your species, great kindness and terrible mistakes. How do you reconcile these differences?" Adrian took a deep breath. This was his moment to represent humanity honestly. "We are not perfect," he admitted. "We make mistakes because we are learning, and we try to improve because we care. Our kindness comes from our desire to connect, even if we sometimes fail." Lysera blinked slowly, impressed. Her species often measured worth by achievements and efficiency, not by emotion or intention. Humans were different. They valued compassion, creativity, and honesty, qualities that even the most advanced Thalirians sometimes struggled to understand. The conversation continued for hours. Humans shared stories of Earth, of mountains and oceans, of music and laughter. Lysera shared her people's history, their scientific achievements, and the delicate balance of their world. Through each exchange, Adrian noticed how often Lysera's eyes softened when humans spoke from the heart, rather than from protocol. At one point, a Thalirian aide presented a small, glowing artifact, a gift meant to honor the humans. Adrian accepted it with care. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "We are honored by your kindness." Lysera's blush returned, this time subtler, as she realized how naturally humans expressed gratitude. Her people were used to formality, to ritualized gestures, not heartfelt words. She found the difference refreshing. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the crystalline palace, Adrian and the humans were invited to a ceremonial dinner. Food and drink shimmered with colors unknown to human eyes, yet the flavors were surprisingly familiar, comforting even. Adrian noted how Lysera ate with attention and care, appreciating each flavor. He saw something in her, a spark of curiosity, a willingness to connect across species. Throughout the evening, Adrian continued to stumble over words, sometimes saying things too simply, sometimes too awkwardly, but every time Lysera smiled or blushed, acknowledging the honesty behind his human imperfection. The humans laughed at themselves, the Thalirians watched with fascination, and Adrian realized something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in knowledge or technology, but in their sincerity and courage to show their true selves. By the end of the night, Lysera stood and spoke to the human delegation. "We are intrigued by your species," she said. "Your honesty, your kindness, and your courage make you unique. You are different from any being we have met. We wish to learn more, not as rulers or subjects, but as friends." Adrian felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for all of humanity. In a universe filled with advanced species, humans were capable of touching hearts in ways that technology or power could not. And in that moment, standing before the alien queen, he realized that sometimes the simplest gesture, a sincere word, a genuine compliment, could bridge worlds. Lysera's final words of the night, softly to Adrian alone, lingered in his mind as he returned to the human quarters. "Your honesty, it is rare, and your words, they make me feel something new, something beautiful." Adrian smiled, realizing that the adventure of understanding, friendship, and mutual respect was only just beginning. Humanity had arrived on a distant world, not with weapons or dominance, but with sincerity, curiosity, and a heart willing to connect. And even an alien queen, with all her power and beauty, could blush from the honesty of a human soul. The following morning, the human delegation woke to a sky that shimmered in soft shades of teal and gold. Thaliria's twin suns bathed the city in light that seemed to dance on the crystalline towers. Adrian Cole stood at the balcony of his quarters, marveling at the alien landscape. The palace had seemed overwhelming the day before, but now, bathed in morning light, it felt alive. The delegation was to begin a cultural exchange with the Thalirians. The plan was simple. Humans would learn about Thalirian society, technology, and customs, and in return, share aspects of their own humanity. But simple as it sounded, Adrian could already feel the challenges. Thalirians communicated not only with words but through subtle gestures and even faint telepathy. Every glance could carry meaning, every pause could signal a thought. "Dr. Cole, ready for your first session?" asked Lieutenant Mara Singh, adjusting her equipment. Her tone was light, but there was a tension in her eyes. Humans were expected to navigate both diplomacy and cultural sensitivity. One mistake, one wrong gesture could offend an entire species. Adrian nodded. "Let's try to be human first and careful second," he replied. His own words made him smile, but he knew that simplicity might be their strength. Thalirians respected sincerity. They were led to the Hall of Reflection, a massive room filled with hovering platforms and walls that glimmered with shifting colors. At its center stood Queen Lysera, awaiting them with a gentle smile. Her attire shimmered, flowing like liquid silver, and she inclined her head slightly as Adrian approached. "Humans," Lysera said, her voice carrying a musical lilt, "today you will learn how we live, and perhaps we will learn more about you as well. Let us begin." The first activity was observing Thalirian communication. Unlike humans, their language included subtle pulses of light from their skin, almost like a heartbeat of emotion. Adrian and his team struggled at first to understand, but Lysera guided them patiently. "Do not force comprehension," she said softly. "Feel and respond with honesty. That is how understanding begins." Adrian tried mimicking the pulses, his own nervousness creating irregular bursts of light. Lysera's eyes twinkled, and for the briefest moment Adrian thought he saw a hint of a blush. "Interesting," she murmured. "Your expressions are pure." As the day went on, humans explored Thalirian architecture and technology. They visited a floating library where knowledge was stored in glowing orbs. Information was accessed by placing. The morning sun stretched across the crystalline towers of Thaliria, casting long, shimmering beams across the palace gardens. Dr. Adrian Cole and the human delegation had just begun another day of cultural exchange. They were eager to learn more about Thalirian society and to deepen the bond they had begun building with Queen Lysera. But sometimes, even the best intentions could lead to confusion. The Thalirians had planned a ceremonial welcome to honor the humans. It was a tradition that involved synchronized light displays, symbolic gestures, and subtle pulses of emotion. To a Thalirian, these rituals were expressions of respect and unity. But humans, unfamiliar with every nuance, could easily misinterpret them. As the humans entered the ceremonial hall, they were awestruck. The floor pulsed with gentle light, and walls shimmered in patterns that seemed to respond to their presence. Thalirians lined the hall, their glowing skin casting a soft, radiant aura. The humans tried to bow or gesture politely, but Adrian noticed the faint telepathic tension in some Thalirians, an alert signal of caution or expectation. Lysera stepped forward, her voice calm but carrying authority. "Welcome, humans. Today you are honored guests. We perform this ritual to show respect." Adrian nodded and gestured toward the other humans. "We are honored to be here," he said, keeping his tone sincere. Yet even as he spoke, he felt a small unease. The synchronized gestures of the Thalirians were complex, and he could not decipher all their meanings. As the ritual began, humans followed the movements as best as they could. But a simple mistake, a slight misstep by one of the delegation members, caused a ripple of alarm among the Thalirians. A series of signals, meant to convey respect, had accidentally been interpreted as a challenge or threat. Adrian noticed the shift immediately. The Thalirians stiffened, their glowing pulses intensifying. "That was not what we intended," Adrian said quickly, stepping forward. But his words were drowned out by the formal music of the ritual, a mix of light and hum that communicated urgency. Queen Lysera's eyes widened. She paused, clearly puzzled. In her culture, gestures were precise, and any deviation could signal hostility. Adrian could see the moment when her thoughts raced. The humans might be aggressive, or they might not understand the customs. Either way, a misunderstanding could escalate fast. Adrian took a deep breath. He knew what he had to do. "We mean no harm," he said again, louder this time, hoping his voice would carry through the telepathic currents. "We honor you. We respect your traditions. Please understand that we are learning, not challenging." Lysera's gaze softened slightly. She could sense his sincerity, but the tension in the room remained. Several Thalirians had begun defensive postures, subtle shifts in their forms that humans would never notice unless they were paying attention. Adrian knew that hesitation or fear could worsen the situation. Thinking quickly, he stepped closer to Lysera and held out a hand in the human gesture of peace. Open, palm forward. "This is how we show respect," he explained. "No threat, only friendship." For a moment, the room seemed to hold its breath. Then a Thalirian aide mirrored his gesture, and slowly the rest followed. The misinterpreted signals began to fade, replaced by understanding. Adrian had bridged the gap with a simple act of honesty and courage. Lysera blinked, a faint blush touching her cheeks. "You act with thought and honesty," she said softly. "Even when your words are limited by your language, your intentions shine through." Adrian smiled, relieved. "We humans are not perfect, but we try. That's what matters." Once the misunderstanding was resolved, the ceremony resumed. This time, humans moved with greater confidence, guided by intuition rather than rote memorization. They observed the Thalirians carefully, noting subtle cues in color changes and posture. Slowly, a rhythm formed between the two species, a shared understanding born of patience, attention, and sincerity. After the ritual, the humans were invited to the Garden of Reflection, a serene outdoor space where Thalirians meditated and shared thoughts through telepathic links. Here Adrian could finally breathe, and he took a moment to observe the queen. Lysera walked beside him, her posture relaxed, though her eyes still held curiosity. Your species is unusual, she said. You do not rely solely on power or intelligence. You speak openly, act with honesty, and improvise. I have not seen this often among advanced beings. Adrian chuckled softly. We have to improvise. Life on Earth can be unpredictable. We learn to adapt, to think quickly, and to trust one another. Lysra paused, her gaze focused on him. And yet, you are also brave. When you corrected the misunderstanding, you risked everything. Many beings would have hidden or ignored the mistake, but you acted. Adrian's heart warmed. Sometimes honesty is the safest choice, he said. Even when it's scary, it's better than pretending or hiding. The Queen smiled faintly, her earlier blush returning ever so slightly. Adrian realized she was unaccustomed to such straightforwardness. In her experience, most species relied on careful politeness, exaggeration, or intimidation. Humans were different. Genuine words, spoken with courage and humility, had an impact she had not expected. As they walked through the gardens, a small group of Thalirian scholars approached. They were eager to learn more about human ways, humor, gestures, and emotional expression. Adrian demonstrated a few simple customs: the handshake, the smile, and the nod of respect. The Thalirians tried to imitate, sometimes awkwardly but always with fascination. You humans have emotion in your movements, one scholar observed telepathically. Even your simplest gestures are meaningful. Adrian nodded. We show who we are in small ways. It's how we connect. Lysra glanced at him, her tone softening. And in those small ways, you reveal strength. Not of weapons or machines, but of spirit. The humans spent the rest of the day exploring more of Thalirian culture. They observed their technology, admired their art, and participated in minor challenges that required cooperation and problem-solving. Each moment reinforced what Adrian had realized. Humans' greatest strength lay not in their machines or knowledge, but in their courage, adaptability, and emotional honesty. That evening, as the twin suns set in the sky, Adrian and the delegation gathered to reflect on the day. We may have made a small mistake, Lieutenant Singh said, but we turned it into an opportunity. That's very human, isn't it? Adrian smiled. Exactly. Mistakes happen. What matters is how we respond. And today, we showed that humans can bridge worlds with sincerity and courage. That's our advantage. Before the delegation returned to their quarters, Lysra approached Adrian privately. Her face was calm, yet her cheeks held a faint, soft blush, a mark of emotion uncommon in her species. You acted with honesty and care, she said quietly. I respect this, and I appreciate it. Adrian met her gaze, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only spoke and acted as a human should. Lysra's eyes softened further. Then perhaps humans are extraordinary, not because of strength or skill, but because you show what it means to be alive. Adrian left the Garden of Reflection that night with a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had survived a misunderstanding that could have led to tension or worse. But through honesty, courage, and humility, they had won respect and admiration. And in doing so, they had begun to form a bond with one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, a bond that was based on trust, understanding, and the quiet power of human heart. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight had proven something vital. Even in a world of advanced beings, humans had a unique strength that could touch hearts, build bridges, and create lasting connections. And somewhere in the palace, the Queen would remember his words and blush again, a gentle reminder that sincerity could shine brighter than any display of power. The next morning, Thaliria seemed calm, almost peaceful. Crystal towers sparkled in the light of the twin suns, and the soft hum of the city echoed through the palace corridors. Dr. Adrian Cole and the human delegation were ready for another day of learning and exchange. Yet the universe had a way of testing courage in the most unexpected moments. During the mid-morning tour of the Energy Nexus, an advanced Thalirian facility that powered the city, an unexpected solar storm erupted from one of the suns. Streams of charged particles raced toward Thaliria, interacting with the planet's magnetic field and threatening to overload the energy conduits. Alarms rang, and soft glowing signals from the walls intensified, signaling danger. Lysra's calm facade faltered slightly. She moved quickly but deliberately to a control platform. This storm is stronger than predicted, she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed concern. If the conduits fail, parts of the city may lose power. Evacuations could be necessary. Adrian glanced at his team. We can help, he said firmly. Show us what you need. We'll do what we can. The Thalirians were skeptical at first. Humans had no experience with their technology beyond observation. Yet Adrian's words carried conviction. Lysra hesitated but then nodded. Your species acts differently. Perhaps your perspective will be useful. The delegation split into teams. Adrian worked alongside Lysra, observing energy flows and attempting quick stabilization protocols. Using a combination of Thalarian technology and human improvisation, he suggested rerouting some energy through auxiliary circuits. Lieutenant Marasin. The next morning, the crystal towers of Thaleria glowed with the soft light of the twin suns. Dr. Adrian Cole and the human delegation were ready for a day that promised exploration, creativity, and connection. After the solar storm, the bond between humans and Thalirians had strengthened, and there was a sense of mutual curiosity in the air. Lysra greeted them in the Hall of Mirrors, a space where Thalirians showcased their art, music, and innovations. Light shimmered off the walls, reflecting every movement, every gesture. It was a room designed to inspire wonder, but to Adrian, it felt like a place where barriers between species could be gently broken. Today, Lysra said, her voice soft but clear, we will share our culture with you, and you will share yours with us. Let this be a day of learning, creativity, and understanding. Humans started by showing some simple earth music. Lieutenant Singh played a soft melody on a portable instrument, while Adrian clapped and encouraged the Thalirians to follow. At first, the aliens were confused, unfamiliar with rhythm as humans used it, but soon, small pulses of light from their skin began to match the beat. A slow smile appeared on Lysra's face, and Adrian noticed a faint blush as she tapped her fingers in rhythm, her movements delicate and careful. Next came humor. Humans shared stories of earth animals and playful anecdotes. Lysra laughed softly, a musical sound that filled the hall. The Thalirians had never experienced humor in this direct, heartwarming way. Their telepathic pulses communicated amusement, surprise, and delight. Adrian noticed that even the Queen, usually reserved, seemed genuinely entertained. Your humor is refreshing, she said. It is simple, yet it carries truth and warmth. We find it delightful, Adrian smiled. Humor is how we share joy, even in small ways. It is also a way to connect without words sometimes. Then came art. Humans displayed simple sketches and paintings, scenes of oceans, mountains, forests, and human faces smiling. Lysra's eyes widened at the colors and perspectives. Thalirians often created precise, flawless works, but humans showed spontaneity, imperfection, and heart. You humans, Lysra said softly, tilting her head, express emotions with your creations in ways we cannot fully replicate. It is beautiful. Adrian gestured toward her. And your art is incredible too. It tells stories of your people, your planet, and your history. Every piece has meaning. Lysra blushed faintly again. She was unused to such straightforward praise, yet she appreciated it. Humans admired what they saw honestly, not out of protocol, obligation, or flattery. That honesty had an effect that no ceremony or ritual ever could. The delegation then engaged in a friendly challenge, a game of problem-solving and teamwork designed to showcase creativity and cooperation. Teams of humans and Thalirians had to navigate a series of obstacles using both intellect and improvisation. At first, Thalirians relied on logic and efficiency, while humans experimented, tried different ideas, and communicated openly. Slowly, both sides began to recognize the value in each approach. When humans suggested unexpected solutions, the Thalirians paused, then adapted. When Thalirians proposed precise strategies, humans listened and contributed refinements. Adrian found himself paired with Lysra during the final task. They had to align floating crystal panels to channel light into a central prism. Lysra calculated angles with precision, but Adrian suggested slight adjustments based on observation and intuition. Together they completed the task, and the prism shone brilliantly, casting rainbows across the hall. You, Lysra said softly, almost shyly, see possibilities we overlook. You combine thought with intuition, and it works, Adrian smiled. We humans rely on creativity and teamwork. We try to look at things in new ways, and we trust each other to help. Lizara's cheeks glimmered with a faint blush, more noticeable this time. Adrian realized that she was learning to appreciate the subtle power of human honesty and ingenuity. His words were sincere, and they seemed to touch her in a way she had never experienced with other species. As the day progressed, humans taught simple earth dances and songs. Lizara joined in hesitantly at first, her movements careful, but gradually she relaxed. Her laughter, light and musical, echoed through the hall of mirrors. The Thalirians, who had always valued perfection, watched with fascination as she allowed herself to enjoy the moment fully. During a quiet moment, Adrian shared a human custom, writing small notes of encouragement and placing them for others to find. He handed one to Lizara. She read it carefully, her glowing eyes softening. The note simply said, "Your courage and kindness inspire us all." Lizara's cheeks warmed. She had never received such a gesture before. "Your species expresses respect in subtle yet profound ways," she said softly. "It is unlike anything I have experienced." The day ended with a gathering in the palace gardens. Humans and Thalirians shared stories, music, and laughter under the fading light of the twin suns. Adrian observed the queen from a short distance. She seemed more relaxed, more approachable, and subtly playful. His simple, sincere compliments combined with shared experiences had allowed her to reveal a side rarely seen, curious, engaged, and slightly bashful. Lieutenant Singh leaned toward Adrian. "You know, they're starting to see humans as equals, not just as visitors." Adrian nodded. "It's more than that. They're beginning to see that humans have qualities no amount of technology or power can replace. Honesty, creativity, empathy, and courage." Lizara approached him again, a soft smile on her face. "You have taught us patience, joy, and connection. Your species shows strength in ways we did not anticipate. I respect and admire this." Adrian's heart warmed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. We only do what feels right. That's all anyone can do." She tilted her head slightly, a faint blush returning. "Even in simplicity, you humans shine. You teach us that connection, honesty, and courage are powerful." As the twin suns set, casting long golden reflections across the crystal towers, Adrian realized the day had been more than cultural exchange. Humans had introduced something the Thalirians had rarely experienced: sincerity, humor, and creative collaboration. These qualities, simple yet profound, left a lasting impression. He looked at Lizara and smiled. She looked back, her faint blush lingering, a reminder that honesty, courage, and kindness could touch even the most powerful beings. Humanity's presence on Thaliria was no longer just about diplomacy or observation. It was about sharing the heart of what made humans unique. Tomorrow promised new challenges and opportunities. But tonight Adrian felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans had shown that even a species advanced in technology and power could learn from heart, humor, and ingenuity. And in the process, an alien queen had begun to blush from genuine admiration, not for appearances or protocol, but for the human spirit itself. The morning sun of Thaliria rose gently, casting long shadows across the crystal towers. Dr. Adrian Cole looked out from the palace balcony, reflecting on everything that had happened since humans first arrived. From the first encounter with Queen Lysera to the shared challenges and cultural exchanges, humanity had made a mark, but today promised something greater: the formal establishment of an alliance between humans and Thalirians. The grand hall was filled with representatives of both species. Thalirians glowed softly in their colors of respect and curiosity, while humans stood together, a symbol of unity, courage, and sincerity. At the front, Queen Lysera stood on her elevated platform, radiating grace and power, yet her expression softened when she saw Adrian. "Today," Lysera began, her voice musical yet authoritative, "we recognize humanity not only as visitors but as equals. Your courage, honesty, creativity, and heart have impressed us more than any display of strength or technology. You have taught us that connection and sincerity are a true form of power." The humans exchanged glances, pride and humility mixing in their expressions. Adrian felt a warm rush of satisfaction. Humanity had arrived in a distant world not to conquer or dominate, but to show what it meant to be human, to connect, to adapt, and to care. Lysera's gaze lingered on Adrian. She stepped down from her platform, moving with the same elegant grace he had first observed, yet now there was a subtle warmth in her posture. "And you, Dr. Adrian Cole," she said. "Your honesty and bravery have made a lasting impression on me. You spoke with sincerity when words failed, and you acted with courage when hesitation could have been safer. For this you have my admiration." Adrian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I only acted as a human should. I hope our actions have shown the best of our species." "They have," Lysera replied, her cheeks faintly glowing, a blush that Adrian now recognized as genuine appreciation rather than ritual courtesy. "Your people remind us that even in a universe of great power, heart and courage can shine brighter than any technology or display." After the formal words, the alliance was sealed. Documents were exchanged, but more importantly, mutual trust and understanding had been established. Humans would share knowledge, culture, and diplomacy with Thelyrians, and in return, they would learn from the alien civilization's advanced science and art. The bond was not just political, it was personal, built on respect and genuine connection. Once the ceremony concluded, Adrian and the human delegation were invited to a quiet garden within the palace grounds. The twin suns shone softly, creating Pavkolo,